The effects of marine pollution to coastal resources are extensive, impacting on the flora, fauna, and entire ecology of the coastal environment. In most cases, apart from direct impact on the living resources, marine pollutants tend to adversely alter or degrade the environment to extreme conditions that are beyond the tolerant or adaptation limits of the living resources therein. Rampant discharge of hot effluent, untreated sewage, oil spills, plastics, and other forms of debris into our coastal aquatic environment is quite common off the coast of Lagos and major industrialized cities of the Niger Delta region of Nigeria, such as Warri and Port Harcourt.
The world suddenly, as part of development, had to get to use plastic material as packaging for several different things, for water, for food, for everyday living. The net effect of this plastic material is the fact that they are not degradable. That is, they cannot disappear. You can't do anything about them, which is one of the advantages why we started using them in the first instance. But it has now turned out to be a big problem. Now, these plastics are used in our different homes. They're supposed to be packaged and sent to a proper landfill. But in most developing countries, this is not the case. Instead, these plastics and plastic material end up in our canals and our streams and our rivers. Now, these plastics then move from these canals and these streams into bigger water bodies, the rivers. The rivers empty into a lagoon, as in the case of Lagos, and this lagoon then ends up in the ocean. So the Atlantic Ocean and what we call the Gulf of Guinea right now is overloaded with these plastic materials. Go into any municipality, any area of our country now. Our gutters, our canals, our streams, you will find huge tons of plastics and plastic type material in the gutters. Where are they coming from? They are coming from municipal waste. Our municipal waste is poorly managed, which is another issue, another problem. The fact that we do not handle municipal waste properly, municipal solid waste. So a lot of people use the rivers as their emptying ground for this municipal waste. And from studies we have done, the average municipal waste in Lagos municipality is 60–70% plastic material. The biodegradables in it is only about 10 to 20% from the data of our studies here at the University of Lagos. So at the end of the day, we find that what ends up in the water bodies is essentially plastic. And these plastics get into the rivers, from the rivers into the oceans. That has now become a global issue that UNEP, the United Nations Environment Programme, has now established special programs for marine litter and plastics. The focus of that special program is how can we reduce marine litter, how can we reduce plastics going into our oceans.
Industrialized human society generates vast quantities of materials, many of which, lacking recovery infrastructure, end up as waste. The nature of this waste has changed dramatically for the last 30 to 40 years due to the introduction of synthetic materials such as plastics. Human garbage, including synthetics and plastics, have inevitably found their way into the world's oceans. This rubbish, which is present in the oceans and on beaches, is called marine debris. Astoundingly, it is now evident that marine debris is one of the world's most pervasive pollution problems affecting the oceans. Synthetics like plastics are the most problematic debris because they resist natural degradation processes and are a danger to wildlife. Far from being just a litter problem, marine debris represent a significant threat to wildlife. Numerous marine animals and seabirds are killed or injured either because they become entangled or trapped by marine debris or because they ingest it.
Impact of these plastics is essentially that it reduces fishes, availability of fishes and other marine things that we eat that sustains us as food, because these plastics block the food cycle of the fishes. the fishes run into these plastics, tiny pieces of it in the water, thinking that it's food. They ingest it. As they take it in, it then destroys them. Because as it goes into them, it's plastic, it doesn't dissolve, it is not food, they cannot digest it, and they kill those fishes. So there was some time ago when it was found out that in one part of the world, fishes were just found floating on top of the water. These were coming from marine litter that they ingested mistakenly, thinking that it was food. And at the end of the day, they destroyed that. So the net effect of plastics and this marine litter, as we call it globally now, is the fact that it is reducing food, availability of fish as food, availability of other marine organisms that we eat, periwinkles, oysters, shellfish, all of that is reducing availability of it. That at the end of the day now, we may end up in a catastrophe. Catastrophe in the sense that we are being advised not to eat meat, that red meat is not good for you, so you should go to fish. But the fish itself is not available. So at the end of the day, we are beginning to see that we need to do something about water pollution with respect to plastics, with respect to marine litter.
Humans are also affected by the marine debris. For instance, plastic bags can cause economic losses to recreational boats when they block water intakes and result in burnt-out water pumps. Boats and ships can also incur costly repairs when derelict fishing gear such as nets and ropes get entangled around propellers and rudders.
What it does is that it seals up the lagoon. And therefore, water transport, anybody trying to put a ferry, as Lagos State and several private individuals have tried to do, have not succeeded. They've not succeeded because the bottom, which is supposed to take the water, the propeller of the boat or the ferry they are putting there keeps getting clogged with plastic material. And the economic impact of that is really horrendous. And we are aware of several entrepreneurs who have had to abandon the water transport business because they couldn't get their boats to move in the water. Each time they try to do so, their propellers get clogged with plastics and netting material and styrofoam and all that, and destroys the propeller. And therefore, they think it's not profitable business for them. Now, imagine if they succeeded. Imagine the reduction on the roads, in terms of being able to ferry people by transport. Take being able to ferry people, say, from Marina to Ikorodu or from Marina to Ajah on the water body. It will reduce what we see in terms of traffic on our roads. So there are both direct and indirect impacts of water pollution that we see almost on a daily basis from our studies and from different discussion fora that we participated in.
Plastic is generally a durable material which is resistant to natural biodegradation processes. Consequently, it does not readily break down in the marine environment. It is not clear just how long plastic items remain in their original form. However, some plastic items appear to be broken up into smaller and smaller fragments over time. At sea, this process is thought to occur due to wave action, oxidation, and ultraviolet light. On the shore, it may break up into smaller pieces due to grinding from rocks and sand. Countless marine animals have been killed or harmed by debris primarily because they either become entangled in it or they mistake plastic debris for food and ingest it. An additional and potentially harmful aspect of marine debris is its possible impact on organisms living on the sea floor. Plastic debris is often buoyant, but it eventually may break down and settle on the sea floor. An accumulation of this debris on the seabed may affect the organisms present.